Hello, and welcome to our webinar today about SEL, social and emotional learning, and how you can find the resources you need to implement this in the classroom. Today's seminar is for teachers, also for school counselors, social workers, and paraprofessionals. We're looking at just resources for grades kindergarten through 8th grade. My name is Austin Thompson. My fellow presenters today will be Nick Mason, Elisa Bridge, and Skylar Hewitt. First, I'm going to send this over to Nick Mason to tell us all about what SEL is and why it needs to be part of our classroom. Go ahead, Nick.
Hello. For this presentation, I am going to be showing a sample social and emotional learning presentation for why teachers and paraprofessionals should be using social emotional learning in their classrooms, research on social emotional learning, the components of social emotional learning, and how to implement social emotional learning in the school setting. So, what is the social emotional learning theory in education? The social emotional theory refers to the process in which students learn to apply learned social and emotional skills in their everyday life at school. Social emotional learning has shown to have many benefits for students and teachers alike. So, what is SEL and why is it important in education? Social and emotional learning is what is referred to as SEL. Having SEL in the classroom is shown to have many benefits for students and teachers. What is important to remember is that learning and teaching by nature is social and also has an emotional component. There are 5 components of social emotional learning, with the first one being decision making, then self awareness, self management, social awareness, and relationships. And we'll go deeper into all those a little bit later in this presentation. Well, let's start off with some research on SEL in the classroom. Research shows that it improves students' social and emotional skills, it improves students' perceptions on school climate, and it even improves students' grades by 11%. Additionally, research shows that it increases students' attendance, decreases students' anxiety levels and behavioral issues in the classroom, improves students' pro-social behaviors, and it also improves teachers' well-being as well. So that one's very important because not only does SEL have many benefits for students, but it also has many benefits for teachers as well. SEL for equity in the schools. So SEL is a way to boost all students' academic performance and social and emotional regulation skills. SEL is also a way to increase the voice that students have in the classroom. SEL for college and career readiness. So students who engage in SEL programs have stronger social and emotional skills. Stronger social and emotional skills lead to outcomes such as high school graduation, greater college enrollment, and a higher likelihood of full-time employment. So, what about the cost of SEL programs? So, based on an analysis of 6 evidence based programs, for every $1 spent on SEL programs, there is an $11 return. This shows that SEL in the classroom is also a wise financial investment. So, now let's get into the 5 components of SEL. The first one being self awareness. So, self awareness refers to the ability to understand your own thoughts, values, and emotions. It also refers to one's ability to recognize their own strengths and areas for improvement. The next component of SEL is self management. Self management refers to the ability to manage your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors across different situations. So, some examples of that are managing stress, anger, and anxiety, and as well as delaying gratification is another example of self management. Another component of SEL is social awareness. Social awareness refers to the ability to understand social situations and other perspectives and to empathize with others. Some examples are feeling compassion for someone or understanding other points of view, expressing gratitude, and recognizing strengths in fellow classmates. The next component of SEL is relationship skills. Relationship skills refer to the ability to have positive relationships with fellow students and teachers and school staff, including diverse individuals and groups. Examples include active listening, cooperation and respectful collaboration with others, clear communication, and practicing teamwork in the classroom. And the last component of SEL is responsible decision making. Responsible decision making refers to the ability to make pro social choices that consider ethics, safety, and benefits and consequences as well. What should SEL lessons include? SEL classroom based approaches should include a supportive classroom environment, integration of SEL within the instruction, and also on top of that, direct SEL instruction. So, what are some school-wide practices that support SEL? School-wide practices that support SEL are creating a supportive school climate, creating an evidence-based program for SEL, creating discipline policies that promote SEL, and increasing students' voices. So, how do you incorporate SEL in the classroom? The main way to incorporate SEL in the classroom is to provide an ongoing SEL influence through the school day. This could be as simple as checking in on students and seeing how they are feeling emotionally. This also helps build social emotional vocabulary in the students. Another way is to give students a chance to see how a difficult social situation is being handled. A great way to do this is through a role play conducted by students. This will give students an idea on how to manage difficult social situations. An example of this could be a role play on bullying or a role play on an argument with a friend. Another way to incorporate SEL in the classroom is to create plenty of opportunities for group work. This one is very important. Another way to incorporate SEL in the classroom is to incorporate reflective writing for assignments. So, if you give a student an assignment, having a reflective writing assignment on top of it is a great way to express emotions about the assignment and increase emotional vocabulary. And the last one is to teach students to work towards a common goal. This can be done by having group tests. So many tests that we give in the United States of America tend to be individual, but having group tests with a common goal of doing well in the tests can lead to greater social skills and greater emotional regulation. So, how common is SEL currently? Only 3 states, which are Illinois, Kansas, and Pennsylvania, have a designed set of standards for SEL programs for K 12. And this is even though research has been consistent in showing many benefits for students and teachers. So, hopefully, in the future, we'll get many more than 3 states to have designated sets of standards for SEL programs K 12. However, on a positive note, preschool has a formal SEL program across all 50 states. But SEL, social and emotional learning, is important at all grade levels, K 12, and even in college as well. So it's important that it's not just in the preschools.
Thank you, Nick. Our next presenter is Elisa Bridge. She's going to tell us about effective SEL practices for the classroom and also tell us where we can find resources to create SEL lessons, find materials, activities, and full SEL lesson plans. Elisa?
Hi, everyone. We will continue talking about social and emotional learning. I will talk about resources and classroom practices. Some of the stuff that I want to talk to you about today will be about creating the conditions for student learning. We're going to review 3 signature SEL practices for the classroom, such as a welcoming ritual, engaging practices, and optimistic closure. And then I will share some online SEL resources where you can access lesson planning guides and free resources so you can plan some of the stuff that you can include in the classroom. And then we're also going to look at what it looks like to incorporate SEL in the classroom. So the welcoming ritual is an opening to establish safety and predictability, support contribution by all voices, set norms for respectful listening. This also allows students to connect with one another and create a sense of belonging. So some of the welcoming rituals that provide this activity for inclusion in the classroom are class circles, name games, to make sure that you're greeting students by name, having morning meetings, engaging in writing prompts, student partner discussions, and then also making sure as a school-wide effort that adults are expressing joy in seeing students. Another way to include students is with morning announcements, school assemblies, and then to make sure that you're including their voice. Engaging practices are brain compatible strategies that can foster relationships, cultural humility, and responsiveness, empowerment, and collaboration. They intentionally build students' SEL skills. These practices can also be opportunities for brain breaks that provide a space for integrating new information into long-term memory. Otherwise, it'll soon be forgotten. Some of the examples that can be implemented in the classroom are directly to teach SEL skills through evidence-based programs. And I will be sharing some of the resources in one of the slides. Other opportunities for students are to turn to your partner, sharing and listening to make sense of the new information. Co-create working agreements with your students. Allow brain break, stand and stretch, refresh and set the brain. Opportunities for interaction to cultivate practices that involve interactions in partnerships, small groups, and as a whole group. Now, for optimistic closure, this is at the end of the day, having students reflect on and name something that helps them leave on an optimistic note. This provides closure, reinforces learning, and can connect school to home and create a moment of looking forward to returning tomorrow. Some of the things that you could do in the classroom to create reflections and looking forward are, you could ask the students to think of something that they've learned today, somebody that you were able to help, something I want to share with my grown-up, something that I'm looking forward to doing tomorrow, something that I enjoyed about the day, someone who was kind, helpful to me. Just small little ways of, getting them to think about, to reflect and look forward. Here's a list of some of the resources that you can access by going to some of these links. Castle is a great website for accessing lesson planning. Depending on what school district you're at, some of the sites that for example, Second Step is one that your district would have to pay for, so it's membership based, but all the others here, such as the signature practice, SEL, lesson planning checklist, the PBIS, that stuff should be free, as well as the School Connect and Harmony SEL, which provides some amazing resources for anyone who's looking to implement SEL in the classroom. Here's a preview of what Harmony SEL looks like. When you go to the website, this is a free resource, and it's just such an amazing website. It has lesson planning from pre-K all the way to 6th grade. And just to give you an idea, gives you the program overview, welcome letter, planning guides. You can print out connection guides to be able to implement some of the welcoming ritual activities such as meet up and buddy up. And anyway, this is an amazing resource. Also want to show you what SEL looks like in a middle school setting.
I love my school. My friends come from so many different places. And we have some great teachers.
Good morning.
I feel like they really care about, like Miss Gwynn, who teaches my first period AVID class, which feels like family.
Looking for a volunteer to start to share your things, David.
Sometimes we start the day with circle, even if we don't have time to get into a circle.
When you get to tutorial, maybe your goal is, I need to physically just take out my temporary work the second I sit down. And that's a lot to remember.
It's part of what we call social emotional learning, or SEL. I feel like I've learned how to share and how to listen. Across the hall in Miss Shino's class, we actually sit in a circle for circle.
So I have 3 different questions for you. Take a look at the board. Here's your first one today. Describe your midwinter break in 1 word.
Snowboard.
Lazy, hurt,
Sleeping. Depressing.
sleepover.
A lot goes on in circle.
It says you have 3.5 months of 7th grade left before you go to 8th grade. Describe how that makes you feel in 3 words.
Middle school was a big change for me from elementary. 7 class periods, so much stress and anxiety.
Getting stressed out. Stressed, excited, and hopeful. I like vacation.
Plus, we're all just changing so fast. So social emotional learning is really important, especially when I hear my friends talking about being depressed. Some have even considered suicide.
Okay, no, you're contradicting yourself because I'm a hypocritical person.
I'm working on identifying my feelings and what to do when I have them.
Are you prepared to take notes, stay organized, and do more work than you are already doing?
Also, how to listen, how to show empathy, and be a part of the community.
It helped me get through a lot of the panic I've had this year so far, so I'm really glad that I got this opportunity.
Even in a big school, I just want to feel like I belong.
I think our goal this week is going to be finding
And we talk about responsible decision making
about it, maybe setting an alert on your phone or calendar in some way.
and something called restorative practices, which is learning how to repair harm and make things right instead of just punishing people. And here's the thing, research shows that when we feel better, we do better in school. I really want to say thank you to the Bellevue Schools Foundation donors. Because of SEL, I'm learning how to handle my stress and my emotions, and that makes me feel confident about my future.
Thank you, Elisa. Now that we've talked about what SEL is, what does the research say? Does SEL really work? Well, to tell us this is my good friend and yours, Skylar Hewitt.
Hello, my name is Skylar Hewitt. I did the lit review part for this project. My goal was to find research and literature that promoted the idea of why it benefits teachers to be trained in SEL services. There's a broad and large amount of research out there that proves being trained in SEL does benefit teachers. There are just a few research articles I found that really stood out to me while I was writing this paper. The first one has to do with the SEL part of wanting to provide an equal and equitable access to it for our students. Graves et al. In 2016 did a study on specifically African American males living in an urban area. They were experiencing a lot of poverty, which can lead to less desirable outcomes for a lot of our students. Graves et al. In 2016 gave 61 of these students the Strong Start intervention, which is implemented through a length of 14 weeks. They saw increased results in self-regulation and self-confidence. There was little impact in empathy, responsibility, and externalizing behaviors. The point with this study was that even though this didn't cover every facet of SEL, in a challenging population like this, SEL services still provided some support. The next one that stood out to me had to do with language learners. SEL is hard enough to provide at times. Having that language barrier there makes it a bit harder. Russo et al. In 2017 conducted a study with Spanish-speaking students actually using a web-based Spanish translated program. So the program was called SEL WebS. The sample size for this was 524 K through 3rd grade students. The program was used to determine their competency in being able to display the 5 components of SEL. After the results of this particular study was that the program was deemed to be used efficiently and effectively within our schools. More research would need to be done to determine the effectiveness in other languages and hopefully having it translated into other languages as well. Teachers trained in SEL can be trained to utilize these programs to provide that SEL service to their students. And yeah, just web programs like this, I think especially if teachers know how to use them, can really help teachers to provide SEL services for their multilingual students. The next part of my research that really intrigued me had to do with school connectedness, and that correlates directly with SEL, which is why I was very interested. Marcini and Breer in 2017 conducted a meta-analysis of the effects school connectedness had on suicidal thoughts and ideations. School connectedness specifically is when students feel safe, when they feel like they're respected by adults and peers. It also includes them being mentally and emotionally ready to learn. And that's the definition and power of school connectedness. And school connectedness can also be a protective factor, for our students that can help them achieve in the classroom and achieve better outcomes overall. So there are several studies out there that prove school connectedness results in less suicidal ideation and thoughts. This meta-analysis wasn't much different. It proved the same. It had the same result. School connectedness does result in reduced suicide ideations and thoughts for our students. Teachers trained in SEL can really benefit from providing this protective factor for their students. And really, teachers trained in SEL can be very impactful for their students. I mean, if they can provide that school connectedness and reduce those suicidal thoughts and ideations, I mean, teachers trained in SEL can pretty well save a student's life when trained properly. So that kind of concludes the research that really stuck with me. Again, there is a very broad, very large amount of research that proves SEL services benefit schools and teachers. Teachers trained in SEL services can really support our schools and support our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Skylar. Now that we've learned all about this, it's time to learn by doing. We will now have a demonstration of an SEL lesson. You all get to be the students in an SEL lesson. I'll be the teacher. In this demonstration, we're going to start, as Elisa pointed out, with a welcoming ritual. This can be something that is familiar to them that you've done before. This repetition helps them feel comfortable. Knowing what's going to happen, having things predictable, helps create a safe environment. These welcoming rituals help create a sense of community, a sense of belonging. It can also set the stage for what your lesson is going to be, whether it be a direct teaching of an SEL lesson or some other lesson with your content in which you may be implementing some SEL strategies. To begin, I want to know how you're feeling. How are you doing today? On our animal scale here, how are you feeling? Emily, how are you feeling today? A 1? Great, glad to hear it. Garrett, how about you? Oh, a 2. Yeah, I feel you there. Amy, how are you feeling? 3? Awesome. I'd love to be a baby panda. Kaylee, how are you? A 9. Yeah, rock on. You know, I think I saw that guy run across Foothill Boulevard the other night when I was driving home from campus. In a welcoming ritual, you may be sitting in a circle, go around the circle and respond to this question, or you can have them respond from their seats, like we just did. Now, with these same animals, how do you feel when it comes to conflict? How do you feel when you have a conflict with someone else? Today, we're going to focus on these 3 animals: the turtle, the owl, and the shark. These are going to represent ways to approach conflict. Sometimes when we have a conflict with someone, we feel like a turtle. We want to withdraw, we want to pull our arms and legs and our head into the shell. We want to protect ourselves, withdraw, and we may be slow to act. Sometimes we are like an owl, eyes wide open, looking, listening, very alert. Head is swiveling around. You know, owls can turn their head almost all the way around and look in lots of different directions from lots of different perspectives. Sometimes we feel like a shark, on the offensive, ready to take control of the situation, to go fast. These 3 animals can represent 3 different conflict approaches: conflict avoider, the solution finder, and the conflict controller. Now, I want you to think to yourself, how do I approach conflict most of the time? Am I like the turtle, the owl, or the shark? All right, now take out your first handout. It's called Animals of Conflict Reference Guide. Across the top, you see the 3 animals, and in each column, a description of how these different conflict styles would approach different situations. Now we want to give you the next few minutes to discuss this with a partner. Turn to the person next to you, and those of you joining us on Zoom, we'll put you into breakout rooms in groups of 2s or 3s. And with your partner, with your group, we want you to discuss which animal you feel like when it comes to conflict. How do you usually approach conflict? And would your approach change depending on the situation? All right, begin.
A few moments later.
Okay, very good. I heard some great confessions going on out here. Very good. Now we got your mind thinking about these things. Turn over on the back. Here we see our Animals of Conflict activity sheet. We have 3 different scenarios here for you to read. Here we have 3 different scenarios, 3 different conflicts in which students might find themselves. With your discussion group, you're going to read through each of these and talk about how each of the 3 different animals would approach this conflict. See what you might do in this conflict and discuss how might others react with these kind of responses. I'll give you a few minutes to talk about this.
One eternity later.
Okay, and we're back. Excellent. Very good. As we walked around, we heard lots of very good discussions going on. Thank you. Now, we want you to consider, what did you learn today? To wrap up, you'd want to review and reflect. Discuss what everyone learned. Does someone want to share what they learned about themselves? Did you discover which of the 3 animals is best when trying to find a solution that benefits yourself and others? And how might you approach your next conflict differently? Could you give some examples? Now, this lesson can be easily expanded with things like a writing prompt. Ask the students to write about a conflict they recently had and how they responded, relating it to one of these animals. You could ask them also to write a few encouraging sentences that they would give to a turtle to encourage them to come out of their shell a bit more and be more solution focused to help find something that will work for both people. You could also write to a shark about perhaps maybe they need to pull back and not be so controlling when it comes to conflict. The idea here is to think more like the owl, that we consider with our big eyes and our turning head, to consider different perspectives, consider the feelings and point of view of others, so we can come to a solution that benefits both sides. This SEL lesson can also continue as you move on to other lessons in the class. You can discuss conflicts that come up in the content, whether it be in literature or history, even math and science. You can say, how did these people approach the conflict? Were they being a turtle, an owl, or a shark? Also importantly, you can discuss this when conflicts arise in the classroom between students. You can discuss how you should approach the conflict, maybe what your tendency is, and maybe how you could improve it. And now it's your turn. You too can find a lesson just like this for free online. I found this lesson on Harmony SEL. I did not create this. I got this lesson plan from their website, as well as these activity sheets. Check out our resource handout we gave to you. Get your laptop, visit one of these websites. Harmony, UEN, Edutopia, Castle, all of these will give you resources that you can use in your SEL lessons. Also, we provided you with a checklist that you can use when integrating SEL into your content lessons. Thank you all for coming. So glad you could join us. Those of you on Zoom, so glad you could be here. Thanks to Elisa, Skylar, and Nick. Please, if you have any questions, let us know. We'll be sticking around for a few minutes afterward. And wish you all the best of luck in your SEL lessons.